Box is brought to you by Walmart. Always low prices, always. By Pepsi Cola. Experience the joy of Pepsi. By Dr. Scholl's. Look, feel, do better. And by your neighborhood 7-Eleven store. Oh, thank heaven for 7-Eleven.
On this round of pit stops, Jeremy Mayfield penalized 15 seconds for not having a catch can man in place when they started fueling. So he lost 14 spots on this exchange. Tony Stewart gained 5 spots with his pit stops. That fellow wants us to crank it up. All right, we're back under green.
That Jimmy Spencer, that 41, he is driving that race car right now. Kind of expected him to run good here. This is the same car he had at Rockingham. He was very competitive with till the ignition box went out.
Here he goes. This is what we saw from Spencer yesterday in the Busch race. On every restart, Jimmy would run hard for the first 5 or 10 laps, picking up spots, challenging for the lead.
And sometimes that's good, Darrell, but you get the goodie out of your tire. You use up too much tire in the beginning.
I know y'all always, oh man, he is driving. Look at it, sliding that thing off the corner. But you always say, save your tires. Save your tires. You can't save tires.
No, not here.
There's no way to save tires.
You just don't save them, just don't abuse them.
Well, but now Spencer was abusing his off of 2 over there. He had the thing in a 4-wheel slide, crossed up.
Darrell, compare the lines here between Spencer and Gordon.
Well, there's a preferred line, and that's the one that Gordon is in. The only way that Jimmy's going to get by him is get the nose down under him, and usually think you'll push up off the 2 when you do that. Now you come down here. If you wanted to, you could try to drive underneath of him right here, but you got to be sure you got the grip to do it with.
And it's
now you bog the car down. Spencer's coming out of there. That lower line, you bog the car down. Gordon's going to beat you up out of the hole.
Just to give you an idea, these guys are running like 30-18, 30-20 before that pit stop on 40, 50 lap tires. They were running 32, 40s, and 50s.
And more on the leader, Dick Berggren.
Well, Jeff Gordon had another quick pit stop. He came in first, went out first. Very slight adjustment on the chassis. He's got a great race car today.
Now, Darrell, if you're Jeff Gordon, are you distracted by Spencer gnawing at your bumper there?
Quite honestly, I'm surprised that Jeff is racing Spencer as hard as he is. Spencer is a hard racer. We all know that. I think as long as he doesn't get up there and start bumping around on Jeff will probably try to get away from him. But he ain't going to put up with much of that Jimmy Spencer stuff coming up there and roughing him up.
All right, Robbie Gordon is in the garage. Here's Steve.
Thanks, Mike. There's about 14 different mechanics working on the 31 car of Robbie Gordon. Big problems that have to replace the drive shaft. What happened, Robbie?
I got the wall a couple laps earlier, and I don't know, just went into turn 3 and just stepped out on me really big. It's unfortunate, you know. I tried to talk myself into liking this place, and every time I come here, I dislike it. So, you know, it's a tough racetrack. I watched an interview with Dale Jr. and he said he hated the place also, but he said he's going to talk himself into liking it. I said, you know what, I'm going to go in there with that same attitude. You know what, I still don't like this place.
I will let him get back to work. Also, guys, just to note, Bobby Labonte, they went up 2 rounds on the track bar, 2 rounds of wedge out, and pulled a spring rubber out of the right rear.
Oh, man, go ahead.
For DW, an update down here in the 8th of Dale Earnhardt Jr. 2 great stops today at 13.81 and at 13.80. A few comments from Dale Jr. He said that the car was driving off turn 2 like a limo on an ice rink. Then somebody chimed in like he's done that a lot. But they did make a track bar adjustment, went down half a round to try to tighten up that number 8 machine. Then he said, how many laps are in this race? And somebody said 393. He's like, oh man, you're killing me. I've got to go 300 more laps. They go, no, 293. He goes, oh, thank goodness.
Maybe it handled like that Zamboni he drove in that Olympics promo.
You know, for 2 or 3 days, you're in denial here. Everybody, you go around saying, no, it can't be that bad. It can't be that bad. And then you get in the race.
see how tight they run, and this track looks too narrow to pass on. Sometimes it is.
Well, that's why they get down on the apron. I mean, we run on the apron here a lot, trying to pass people. Going into 3, going into 1, you'll always have the left side wheels down on the apron.
After a particularly frustrating day here, Kyle Petty once said they should fill this place with water and stock it with fish.
Everybody has a favorite thing they like to say about Darlington. Some we can repeat and some we can't.
You saw Ricky Rudd make the pass, the most experienced driver here. This is his 51st start at Darlington in the Winston Cup car. And later this season, he will hopes to break Terry Labonte's record for consecutive Winston Cup race starts. Now here comes Harvick right back after him.
Two distinct different lines right there. Ricky Rudd on the high side, Kevin Harvick in the 29 on the bottom.
And what happened? What can happen to you? You go in, you're leading the guy. You run the good line, all of a sudden your car pushes up. You got to get out of the throttle. That guy gets a run on you and passes you. And you know you're faster than he is, so you go right back and pass him back.
Whoa, Johnny Benson just had a toss and catch it there coming off the corner. Here's Jimmy Johnson, 7th place.
Now, a guy that you won't hear us say a word about hardly all day is that guy in that red car. But at the end of the day, he will be up in the top 5 or 6.
$1 million bill. Bill Elliott won the first Winston Million here in 1985.
He has an understanding of this racetrack, and he knows how far to push it and knows when to hold it.
Unless he gets caught up in a wreck, his car will probably not have a scratch on it at the end of the day.
He does not want a Darlington stripe.
Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Spencer are separated by just a quarter of a second, with Elliott Sadler's Ford in 3rd and Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s Chevrolet in 4th.
The Carolina Dodge Dealers 400 on Fox is brought to you by Beechwood Aged Budweiser with the crisp, clean, and refreshing taste known only to the king of beers.
Fox welcomes you back to Darlington with Jeff Gordon, your leader over Jimmy Spencer through 110 laps. And if you want your NASCAR coverage to last all week, make sure your cable system carries the new Speed Channel, home of NASCAR TV. The old Speed Vision reborn as Speed Channel, the home for NASCAR. Call your local cable or satellite provider for Speed Channel and fill your need for speed. Jeff Hammond, as we take a look at Jeff Gordon, he's trying to snap out of a slump. He's won here 5 times, more than any other driver. But how about the points leaders coming in? 1, 2, Sterling Marlin and Ryan Newman had to start way back at the back of the pack, and they are making some moves.
Yes, they are. And we see Sterling right here. That experience, as Darrell talks about all the time, starting dead last, has worked his car all up to 4th place. Now all of that is kind of like, a wash. He's back on track where he needs to be. But my hat's really off to the 12 car and that Alltel team of Ryan Newman's, because this was a brand new race car. So they're actually doing a little bit of combination racing and testing, and they've done an excellent job of working the problems out, bugs, and making that car competitive today. And Ryan has really, showed a lot of composure and a lot of patience of racing the racetrack and giving these guys a chance to work on his car where he can have a good finish today and maintain that 2nd place in points.
And Newman looking for his first Winston Cup career victory, and Sterling Marlin hoping in the long haul for his first Winston Cup Points championship. Let's go back upstairs. Mike Choi, Larry McReynolds, and Darrell Waltrip.
Newman is in the middle of the 3 rookies in the race. Shauna Robinson's car is already loaded on the truck. And let's remind you that Newman, who crashed in the last minute of practice yesterday, but because of a cut tire, not from overdriving this racetrack. Jimmy Johnson continues to impress. He's up there into 8th spot.
We need to document that our pole sitter Ricky Craven is back in the race, 88 laps down. Dale Jarrett in the 88 car. He's got problems. And I see smoke.
Blew up.
And this is what happened to Jeff Gordon here last year. Gordon led a bunch of laps, but he led the first 47 of the laps, but ended up 40th in the race due to an engine.
And should it be an engine failure, remember 3 races ago at Rockingham he blew up.
I don't know. I just felt it start tightening up. I looked down, the oil pressure was gone.
If memory serves me right, that's the same comment we heard at Rockingham. No oil pressure, motor started tightening up. So 2 out of 5 races looks like Dale Jarrett has lost an engine.
Larry, another guy that came in running in the top 10 there a while ago when they had those round of pit stops was Rusty Wallace. and he's now back in 26th position. And I understand that they worked on the car. They put a spring rubber in somewhere. You know, like I do, if you work on that race car on a pit stop, you're going to lose a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, a spring rubber's a good adjustment, but I want to try a lot of other adjustments I can do a lot quicker than that, like wedge or track bar, things like that. It takes a long time to put a spring rubber in, and we'll kind of show you what they've done here on one of our animations. Car comes in the pits. We're going to show you what happens if you put one in the right rear. You have to jack it up just like a normal tire change. There you see the spring right there. The red thing is a spring rubber. That's pulling it out. You can pull it out a lot quicker.
You need to pull them out. You don't need to be putting them in.
Putting it in takes a lot longer. Increases the rate of that spring probably in the rear 15, 20 pounds. And if they did do it in the right rear like we've done right here, it will make the car turn better on the exit of the corner, stiffens that right rear corner.
Now, if you do that in the front, the rear is fairly easy. But if you try to get down in there with all the shock absorbers and everything else on the front, that's when you run into a problem.
And all the heat.
And that's where they tried to put one, in the right front.
The hope in Dale Jarrett's pit is that he just threw the oil pump belt. That's why the car lost oil pressure and the motor started to tighten, but he continues to sit in the pits with the hood up. So apparently the problem is more serious.
Yeah, even if he lost the belt, when he said no pressure, he's lost the engine.
Well, these cars have an external oil pump. It's on the outside of the engine, and it has a belt that's driven off the crankshaft. And a lot of times, especially at a place like this where you have so much tire rubber, it'll get up there and it'll cake in, make that belt too tight, and the belt will actually break.
Yeah, it's a clog belt. It's got teeth on it. It's rubber. And the rubber off the tires will get up under there and knock it off the pump.
Jeff Gordon works past Stacy Compton for the second time.
Now, I think if you look back, you'll see how far Jimmy Spencer has fallen back. Jimmy abused his car trying to stay with Jeff. That's what I figured. I thought Jeff was probably thinking, if I can stay in front of Spencer for 8, 10 laps here, I'll get away from him.
In his last 13 starts here, Gordon has 5 wins and 10 top 5 finishes. He's now led over 1,000 laps here in his last dozen or so races.
Get a green on your car when you can.
Sterling Marlin in that 40 car, he continues to march toward the front. This is a pass for 3rd position. Started dead last after changing that engine. You got to tip your hat. They've got a good race car.
What bothers me, I'm going to talk to Sterling. He looks like he's not working very hard in there to me. Did you notice that shot we had him? He's just kind of like, this is Darlington, man. He's supposed to be fighting that wheel. He was just smooth as silk.
Dale Jarrett's car did, Darrell, lose an oil pump belt, and it did too much damage to the internally to the engine. They're headed for the garage.
Well, remember, once that oil pump stops turning, it immediately loses oil pressure. You can't hardly catch it that quick and shut the engine off without causing damage.
Now, all the race cars I ever drove had a great big old red light on the dashboard. And when that oil pressure went down, that red light came on. Now, I don't know if they have that light or not, but that's how we would catch it sometimes.
How about this race car right here, Tony Stewart? It wasn't too many laps ago. We were talking about him starting 36 and only gaining a couple positions. He has moved up into the 9th position, but he gained 5 spots on that pit stop a while ago.
That's what we were saying. It's a very, very timely pit stop, a very, very timely caution for a number of guys, him and his one of them.
How about Kurt Busch right behind him?
Now that little guy,
more season he's having.
Let me tell you, that little guy runs good here. Last year here, he was on pole and led a bunch of the race.
You know, it was ironic. I talked to Jimmy Fitting this morning. This is actually the same car they set on the pole and led a lot of that race. Jimmy, once again, a lot like Robbie Reiser, Matt Kenseth's crew chief, said the setup from the Southern 500 in August is not working. We've had to completely change the setup. And the thing that's confusing these guys, this is the same tire combination that Goodyear ran here both races last year, so you would tend to think the setup at least be a tunable setup.
Let's get an update on Dale Jarrett from Matt.
Well, Mike, you were speculating about the oil pump out on Dale Jarrett's Ford. That's exactly what broke.